Hello and welcome to Swine Chats. We're so glad you're here to talk about pigs and swine and all the wonderful things. Pork is our favorite month, in case you couldn't tell. We're so excited this week. We're talking about the red wattle hog, and we've got some amazing special guests, Ryan and I do. We're trying things out a little bit differently today. We are Zooming you instead of using a different app. So if it looks a little different today, that would be why. We're still excited to welcome special guests and take your questions. So please do leave comments for us and we'll get to those as soon as we can. But without further ado, I want to introduce Andrea Van der Wel of Sadie's Acres and Kathy Bodorf. I'm sorry, Kathy, I think I butchered your name.
Bodorf, you've got it.
Yes. You all want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, I'm Kathy Bodorf. We raise red wattle hogs and black Angus cattle here on our farm, besides about 1 million cats and a dog. I was Secretary Treasurer of the Red Wattle Hog Association for 9 years. Still want to and have the desire to be very involved in the association.
Good. Go ahead, Andrea.
All right. I'm Andrea Van der Wel with Sadie's Acres. We're in South Central Kentucky. We've got a small family farm. We raise the red wattles, Katahdin sheep, and we have a multitude of chickens and guineas and a couple cats currently.
Cats. There's this thing about cats. You know, you two have cats. Then Brittany's getting attacked by a cat tail. I see a theme. I thought this was Pig Mom. Now we got cats on here. All right. Well, hey everyone. My name is Ryan Cureton, aka Pork Ryan. I am the Breed Association Manager of the Livestock Conservancy, and super happy to have both Andrea and Kathy on here. I probably have spent hours upon hours talking to these two lovely ladies, and just a wealth of knowledge and experience about red wattle breeds and pig farming in general. And so, you know, ladies, they don't know you very well, but I just want to say these are upper echelon breeders. They know what they're talking about. Even if they say they don't, they're lying to you. Don't believe them. Believe what I'm saying after conversations of talking with them. The Red Wattle Hog Association has people in their midst who really know a lot about pigs, but more specifically red wattle hogs. So ladies, and Kathy, you can go first on this one. My question now is, you know, what's the history behind the red wattle breed, as well as the history behind the Red Wattle Breed Association? Tell us a little bit about that.
The current Red Wattle Hog Association began in 2001 with only 8 members. Currently, we're up to near 100. Yeah. As far as the history on red wattles, it's very obscure at this time, but we do know that they were here in this country around the early 1800s, early to mid 1800s. We have found numerous newspaper articles and so forth mentioning them. One misconception about red wattles is they were begun with a cross between a wattled hog and a Duroc, and that's simply not true, although Duroc do look similar. Actually, the Livestock Conservancy determined this for us with the help of the University of Iowa and the University of Kentucky and Berea College and several other associations. And they know that genetically, red wattle is not connected to any current hog that's known. They've been their own separate breed for quite some time. And no genetic connection, period, to a Duroc hog.
Wow. That's what we would consider at the Conservancy a Criollo breed. Duroc also a part of that, but being able to see how this breed has. Oh, actually, I'm telling the breed history. Andrea, go ahead. You gotta finish too. Go ahead.
What do you want me to finish, sweetheart?
Oh no, just talk about what you know about the breed in terms of its history as well as the breed association, even like your own fairly new member to the breed association.
We've been, boy, it's almost been 2 years. Uh, we found Kathy and Bill, and they set us up with a fabulous boar, which had completely sold us on the breed. Um, they are a very gentle breed. So anybody that is getting into something like hogs and they're not used to being around them, it's a very gentle and easy breed to take. The association is very accommodating. They always want to help. There's tons of information on their website. I mean, on and on and on. You got to take that information in, listen to the experts. If you're new, find a good mentor. Bill and Kathy are ours, definitely. So it's a great breed. Their mothering is awesome. They follow you around like a dog. They'll say, "Oh, can you bucket feed them?" "Oh yes, you can bucket feed them." They get out, they run. They're a good breed.
Good. Yeah, the cool thing that I like about the Red Wattle breed is that it is uniquely a American breed. A lot of the other breeds that you see on our CPL conservation priority list tend to come from other countries, mostly the UK. With Red Wattle, it is a homegrown American breed. All the more reason to conserve it because you can't find it anywhere else on this planet as far as I know. And so Kathy and Andrea, kind of talk about your experiences raising Red Wattle as a breed, both your challenges with the breed, as well as some of the successes you've had with the breed, and then top it all off with your experiences with the pork. How does the pork compare to other pork?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, wow, Ryan, you might have to remind me of some of those questions because you put several in there. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. As far as some of the challenges, I feel that the majority of the challenges come from the commercial breed. There are so many people now that are wanting to be self-sustainable, that are leaving their jobs and wanting to do farming, but they're getting an awful lot of information from confinement facilities. And that's just not how to raise a hog out in the country, out on your farm. And they're getting an awful lot of misinformation. And they're doing a lot of things that are totally not necessary.
What are some of those things? Could you highlight a couple of those that you see more prevalent than others?
Clipping teeth and docking tails, which are totally not necessary, and they can be very dangerous and it's sometimes even deadly. When you clip teeth, that can lead to a brain infection and death. Docking tails, when you dock a tail, and most people think they need to do that to keep them from fighting and biting tails, but for the most part, red wattles don't do that. And when you dock a tail, you remove one of the things that you should be looking at to assure the health of your hog. When that tail is curly, most of the time you can tell that that hog is happy. When that tail is straight, that hog is under some kind of stress, and it may be only for a few minutes, or it could be for a long time. Maybe the hog is sick, so it's under some kind of stress. It could be that there's a hog that's nearby that he doesn't get along with, and the tail goes straight for a few minutes. So when you dock that tail, you take away an awful lot of helpful information for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a problem that's really prevalent with a lot of outdoor pig farmers especially during this day and age where you have more new and beginning farmers who don't have a farming background raising livestock for the first time. And when they're raising pigs, a lot of times they're leaning on information that is more suitable for a commercial operation. So even with docking tails, reason why docking tails, like you had mentioned this, so that way pigs aren't biting. But one of the main reasons why pigs are biting tails in your more commercial operations, modern pig farms, is because space is very limited. Also, there's not a lot of enrichment, which is opportunities for the animal to engage and be a pig and act like a pig. And so they find some other ways to kind of entertain themselves, and part of that is
Exactly.
themselves. But I did want
Exactly.
to know, what are some things about raising red wattle hogs for you that have been really, I guess, successful in your opinion? Things that you really like about raising the breed?
I like their mothering abilities. They are fantastic mothers. If we want to get into breeding, they're easy breeders. They're very easy keepers. Rarely will you see any kind of problem as far as being taken in conception and so forth. And those are problems like maybe overfeeding, age, size, and so forth. Work on those, and usually you've got a litter on the way. They're terrific mothers. They'll nurse other sows, pigs. They'll share. They love to share. They have plenty of milk to go around for everybody. Very protective. Just loving mothers. That's my most favorite thing.
Mothering ability, great. And what's your opinion on red wattle pork compared to other pork, or just red wattle pork being able to stand alone by itself?
When raised and fed correctly, which we would love to see them out in pasture. They're a grazing hog. They love to graze. When they're fed correctly and taken care of correctly, their pork is outstanding. Has won many contests. Marbling. It's a darker, richer red color, very similar to a beef color. And the taste, there is no other in comparison. It is nothing like the pork that you get out of the grocery store.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Great.
Preach, Kathy. All right, Andrea. What are some of your thoughts? What are some experiences that you've had with the breed, both challenging areas with the breed in your experience, as well as successful areas that you've had so far?
We chose to do rotational grazing, no chemicals, and it's worked out real well. We've got knobs. Being in Kentucky hills, I call them hills. They call them knobs. And we have valleys or hollers, and we rotate them up in the forest, and we rotate them down in the pasture. But we always are moving our pigs. We use 2-wire hot batteries or electric, depending on how close we are to the electric, and it works for us. Though we have had them get out, and they tend to come home, and we have not had them run off property. They know who feeds them, and when you take care of your animals, they tend to come home. Big guys too. Albert's gotten out, and he just comes down to the house and says, "Feed me," and we put him away. He's about 900 pounds. So they're very, I think they're very easy to manage. I have no background in pigs, neither does my husband, and I think they're a great homestead starter, because that was originally kind of where we had planned. And because it snowballed quickly, we started at the Lexington Farmers Market and have had nothing but fabulous feedback on the pork. They say they've never tasted anything like it. We like the way it marbles, we like the way it grills, and we cook it every kind of way you can cook it. So we love the taste.
Ooh, all right. So you mentioned cooking pork, and I love to cook pork. What's your favorite way of cooking pork, or in this particular case, red wattle pork?
Well, I'll just tell you, we love to grill. We just love to grill it. You know, just a little bit of salt and pepper. I mean, it's got such a great flavor. It's not. I'm not a big fatty person. I don't like it to have a lot of fat. So it's. I would say it's a lean meat. I know people like that 1 inch fat on the pork chops, which you can get, but it's not a gristly meat at all. It's very very flavorful too. So we like to grill it.
Right. The internal marbling just melts. So you're not, and adds to the flavor. You know, that's where the flavor is in the fat, and it's very nicely internally marbled.
Yes, yes. Fat is where the flavor is at. Stop cutting the fat caps off your pork chops. You're missing
Right.
out, folks. Yeah, one things I like about red wattle, and I actually used to raise red wattle sow back when I lived in Texas, and she was great. I've bucket fed her, and she was almost like a dog.
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
she had
Mm-hmm.
good litters. I will say I did cross it with large black. Back in the day, I know that's a frown upon. We try to keep things pure. But one of the things I really loved about red wattle in terms of pork was it's really good medium. So if you want more fat on your red wattle, you just grow it out for longer,
Right.
and add more carbs to their diet to really build up that fat cap. Whereas with some of the other breeds, they just start out fatty,
Right.
and it's kind of harder to regulate the amount of fat, and you don't always know how much fat you want to get with some of the other more fattier heritage breeds. With red wattle, it's very moderate. So for people who are selling at markets that are not huge fans of fat, red wattle is definitely a good choice to start out with. Also, those who just for home consumption, you don't want 20 pounds, 30 pounds of lard, you
Right.
want maybe 10 pounds of lard,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Definitely consider
Mm-hmm.
red wattle as a breed for a homesteading breed or for home butchery. And so, yeah, Brittany, do you have any questions in the chat so far?
We do. Let me try and pull up all these comments. We've got some good stuff happening.
All right, what we got?
1 second.
I can be patient.
There we go. Let's see. We have a hello from Kathy Payne. Hello, Kathy. Thanks
Hey,
for joining us
Kathy.
today. We have a hello from Travis Odom. Thanks for joining us today, Travis. Let's see. Vicky Richter says, hey, Kathy. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for tuning in today. Let's see. Rachel says she'll be getting 2 red wattles this weekend. Thanks for tuning in today, Rachel. That's super exciting.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Now, my next question is, are they registered red wattles?
That's a good question.
Yeah, put that in the chat. I'd love to hear your answer. Not trying to grill you or anything. I'm just curious. All right, go ahead, Brittany.
All right, yes, please let us know, Rachel. Let's see. Matthew says mentors matter. That is true.
Mm-hmm. Wait, is that Matt Humper?
That is Matthew Colley, C-A-L-E-Y.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I can't see the actual name, so gotcha.
Yeah, sorry I can't put up the ones today, but I'm trying to read them as they come in. Matthew also says breeders provide invaluable resources and proper information. So yes, please talk to people. Michelle says, love coming to watch and learn. Thanks for tuning in today, Michelle. We're so glad you're here. Oh, Kathy has a question. She says, what is an example of 1 or 2 contests where the meat of red wattle has won an award?
Go ahead and answer that, Kathy. The other Kathy.
Okay, review Cochen, Cochen 555. They are a group of professional chefs that you probably see an awful lot on TV. And they go to 5 different cities each year, all over the country, including Alaska and Hawaii. And they have what they call blind taste tests with heritage. They always use heritage breeds. And Red Wattle has won, I'm not going to say every time, but quite often. Also, check out Slow Food Arc of Taste. They also do a blind taste test, very similar to Cochen 555, and they have also won quite often.
Well, that's exciting.
All right, you heard it first. Red Wattle, award-winning pigs. Start conserving them today. All right, what other questions we got?
Let's see. Carmela, thanks for tuning in today. We're so glad you're here. She wants to know, do you know what genes carry the Wattles and can you test for it?
Usually you don't have
No.
because they just show up. They're not recessive at all. Sorry, go ahead, Catherine.
We have actually tried that, and we've asked UC Davis in California, and we've also asked you all at the Livestock Conservancy. And right now, genetic tests, because money is limited all around, they can't determine what gene makes those wattles. However, the wattles are typical of a red wattle, but they're not necessary. They're just cartilage. And many years ago, a great many hogs had wattles. Just throughout time, they've been bred out and they've disappeared. Red wattles, because the association's determination to keep them as heritage hogs and as nature intended them to be, we stress those wattles. It's what makes them what they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's only one pig breed, to my understanding, that has wattles other than red wattles, and most of y'all probably know it because y'all keep asking about it. It's Cooney. Cooney Coons. Yeah, we love you folks. Raising Cooney Coons, or however you pronounce it. Yeah. Anyways, Brittany, go ahead and see if we have another question.
All right, thank you, Carmela. That was a good question. Let's see. Tyler says, greetings from Alabama. Thanks for tuning in today, Tyler. We're so glad you're here. Let's see. Deb wants to know, when you can't pasture in the winter, she lives in Eastern Washington, what do you feed so that they don't get fat?
Eastern Washington, as in Washington State, I'm assuming?
I assume so.
Spokane? In Spokane area?
I'm not sure. She just said Eastern Washington, so I assume that winters are pretty bad there.
we always supplement our hogs in the winter. Well, I mean, we still rotate them, but we also supplement them because they still they're not a free choice animal. So our feed has their minerals in it, even though they're in the dirt. We just want to make sure that they're totally healthy and not lacking anything they need. And everybody's land is different. Everybody's setup is going to be different. So you just want to make sure that they are healthy all the way around. We supplement a non-GMO feed. We soak it. So that's what we do for winter. I mean, we still rotate them and they still dig up in the snow but we still feed them. So.
And they'll also eat hay. When pasture's not available because of the climate and so forth, they also eat hay. They get a lot of their vitamins and minerals from that as well, but they're not going to get everything that they need, just like no hog will. They do need some supplement.
Yes, pigs are omnivores. They are not cattle, they are not sheep, they're not goats, they're not rabbits, they're omnivores. What that basically means is they need more than grass, more than even
Yes.
a little bit of grain. And so one of the cool things I like about your comment, Andrea, you talked about minerals. In my experiences as a swine educator, I've been invited to consult some homesteaders and, go to their property, and I have a lot of concerns because the feeding regimen is so off. I'll be like, okay, so you have a pregnant sow. What are you feeding her? We give her kitchen scraps and stuff like that. And we're a family of what was this? Family of 7, right? We can feed her kitchen scraps. And I was like, okay, but is that that's not really a regimented diet? Plus, she's pregnant and is going to farrow pretty soon. Don't you think you should have more of a regiment diet? And they're like, oh no, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, well, it looks like you don't want to listen to me. That's okay. And then here a couple of months later that she aborted her piglets because she wasn't getting what she needed. And so if you are thinking about breeding, it is so important that you have a mentor. Don't do this without a mentor.
Yes.
I know Joe Salatin's out there and, people love him. That's great. I know Justin Rhodes is out there and people love him. Great people, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. But you need someone who is doing what you want to do, right? And has proven success. Kathy has raised these pigs you've raised them for almost a decade or over a decade, Kathy. Which is it?
Over a decade, plus throughout my childhood.
Throughout her childhood, y'all. Don't be taking advice from people who've been raising pigs since yesterday, and so that's why it's really important that, if you're thinking about breeding stock, do give them a regimented diet. I always say that if you're really new to livestock farming, period, and in general, start out with feed, and then you can start playing around with alternative feeding methods later. But while starting out with feed, you have more of a regimented diet. You don't have to worry about extra minerals and stuff like that because you're mixing feed. No, it's all included in there. And then once you get some experience under your belt, then you can start formulating, playing around with different ingredients because now you have the context down. So yeah, good call, Andrew. Good call. Andrew, tell them how long you've been raising pigs for.
Almost 2 years.
Almost.
Again, I have the best mentors. Bill and Kathy are awesome.
See, that's what happens when you have excellent mentors. It expedites your experience level and your knowledge base when you have mentors who have been doing it basically since they were youngin', And so, again, super important that you have a mentor as you're pursuing your pig enterprise, heritage pig enterprise.
Exactly. But I want to say that if I can do it, anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. So because I come from no farm background. So mm-hmm. I just want, don't be discouraged. And it may take you a while. I got lucky. We got very lucky to find Bill and Kathy right off the bat. Just, talk to people. You're going to have to find somebody you click with. And your situation, just like ours, mine's different than Kathy's. Our setup is different than Kathy's, but yours is your situation. You're going to learn, and like you said, from the Rhodes and from Salatin, because I've watched all those videos. We've sat for hours and watched those videos going, we can do this, but when you really start to talk to somebody who knows how to do this, you'll be able to take that to your own situation and make adjustments in your own situation for you. Just because that's the right way to do it, it might not be the right way for you to do it. So that's why having a mentor and learning the basics and being able to adjust to your situation is okay. It's okay. It's not going to be, everything's not, mine's not exactly the way Kathy's is set up. It's a little bit different, so.
See, folks, she's speaking from wisdom, and you would think that she's been raising them just as long as Kathy has. Again, good mentor, also good student. You know, I will make one disclaimer though. Pigs are for everyone, but not everyone is for pigs.
True.
You have to have a certain kind of temperament when things go wrong. I was a very prideful and arrogant person, I will say, before raising pigs. And there's a reason why pigs are so down to earth, literally speaking. They have a way of humbling you when you raise them. And so even the most arrogant person like myself can be humbled and humiliated by such an animal. Says a lot about the species in general. So if you need some humility in your life, pigs are for you. If you already have humility in your life, maybe you can graduate the cattle or sheep or whatever, or try goat, see how that works. You know, but anyways, Brittany, do you have any more questions?
I think we got a couple more. Let's see. Tyler says he raises mulefoot hogs. If anybody, he wants to know if anybody has experience with them.
I'm straight up red wattle, and that's all I'll ever be.
Okay.
I'm in love.
Now, Tyler.
Sorry, buddy.
We'll get y'all next year.
I didn't catch the question.
He raises mulefoot hogs. I wanted to know if anybody had any experience with them.
No, sorry.
So Tyler, if you, I don't know if you're connected with the Mulefoot Association. If you're not, let me know. I know the secretary and the president, and I can give you their contact information. One thing I will say, if you haven't already butchered your pigs, Tyler, is that mulefoot can lean heavily to the fatty side. So if you're starting to notice your pig's looking really round and plump, and you don't want 30 pounds of lard, start cutting down a little bit of the carbs in their diet, so that way they can get to more of a proper weight. They do have a tendency of getting obese if you're not watching weight. So just be really mindful of that. A lot of these lard breeds, I like to call them, like your English large black, your guinea hog, your American guinea hogs, your mulefoots, Ossabaw island hogs, very prone to obesity. So you really have to fine tune and have more alternative feeding measures so that way your pigs don't get overweight. Whereas with red wattle, you don't really run into those same issues because they're just a more leaner pig. So they're like, red wattles are like in between Yorkshires and obese lard pigs. They're right in between, right? Really in between there. And so, you know, I think that's one of the concerns that you don't have to really worry about as much when you're raising red wattles in terms of obesity that you have to worry about with some of the other breeds. No shade on the other breeds. I love them. English large black is one of my favorite breeds. Actually, all pigs breeds are my favorite breeds, but that one has a special place in my heart. But at the end of the day, it just depends on what your demand is, what you personally want out of the pig, what your customers want out of the pig, and what you have the capacity to do in terms of breaking down that pig and utilizing all that extra fat if you do want extra fat, or if you end up getting extra fat, or do you intend it to or not. Next question.
All right, let's see. Rachel asked, what % protein would you feed? How much land is recommended? And can they be out on pasture with other livestock like sheep?
I'll just say that my piglets would chase my sheep. We tried that with the Katahdin lambs. They were very curious, but the pigs would chase them. So they would nip at them, not to hurt them, but the sheep didn't like that. So we ended up not combining them. They will follow behind the sheep because we rotate often, but we don't keep ours together.
Kathy, did you have any? Okay, good.
Yes, our hogs live with our cattle. They're quite often out there in the same fields with them, and they get along just great. As far as percentage of protein, everybody is different. It's going to depend on what type of grazing that you have out there, if you've got grazing availability, because that's going to change the amount of your swine recipe as well. Normally, we kind of stick to 12 to 14% unless they're pregnant, getting ready to farrow, and they're nursing. And then we increase that protein to 16%. Normally with testing, anything over that is just waste.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I would increase it any further than 16%.
So if I was to weigh in on this, the commercial understanding of protein is you start out at 18% when they wean, then you keep gradually dropping it down until they're finishing, then they're at somewhere between 14 to 12% protein. And this is for hogs that are going to go off to slaughter. Now with heritage breeds, they're a little different. Keep in mind that commercial hogs, your more modern, improved, air quoting improved breeds, they have been bred to live off of higher qualities of feed. That's why you start talking to people who are raising show pigs and they're feeding them 20% protein and you look at them like they're crazy, but again, they're bred to be able to be Ferraris, right? Red Wattles are not Ferraris, right? They're a Ford pickup. And they're proud to be a Ford pickup, right? Or a Chevy, whichever one you prefer. And so heritage breeds, they don't necessarily need the same levels of requirement. If you do meet those, no harm done for the most part. So if you just want to play it safe, do 18 starting out when they wean, then drop it down to 16, then drop it down to 14 to 12 for finishing. Your pig should not be harmed in the process at all, I don't think. If you have more obese pigs that are prone to get obese, your lard pigs, they might pick up a little more weight from that kind of feeding regimen. So you got to be really careful about that. But back in the day, these pigs used to glean on fields, on produce fields, crop fields. They used to be fed slops, grocery store discards. They weren't meant to really be fed just pig feed. They could live off lesser quality stuff as long as the nutritional needs are still met. And that's the important part, is making sure you got the nutritional needs still met. That's how some of these pig farmers are saving money, is through alternative feeding methods, whether it's grocery store, whether it's food scraps from a restaurant, whether it's a processor that's processing vegetables and other kind of stuff, and they're buying that, formulating their own feeds that fit their breeding stock and their finishing hogs, and then working from that. And so again, if you didn't know, 60% of your costs with raising pigs is going to be feed related. If you do not have a good control on your feed, and if you're wasting feed, you're essentially wasting money. And you don't want to waste money because pigs are expensive. And our audience knows this. If you're raising pigs, these experts know this because they've been there, done that, and are still doing that. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about feeding some of the different opportunities. And if you need help with any of that, feel free to give us an email, and we'd love to answer that question. Next question.
Well, also, Ryan, keep in mind that there are certain plants out there for them to graze on that provide an awful lot of protein as well. Amaranth, around here, what we call pigweed, is very, very high in protein, and our pigs love it.
That's the other thing, pigweed is that weed that it looks kind of weird, like I ain't gonna lie.
I hate it.
and it can take over your whole field if you don't manage it right. But the great thing about it though is when you're able to see what your indigenous field looks like, and you're able to identify all the different plants, then you can kind of see like, oh, okay, well, I know that this plant or this grass has X amount of carbs, X amount of sugar, same thing, X amount of protein. You can kind of figure out, but that's like more advanced level. Like I've been on the land for a long time. I've been raising these pigs for a long time. The longer you're on the land, the more you're able to understand how to better operate your pigs in a grazing system. Generally, your first year, you're never going to get it quite right. And so it's that observational skill, that farmer's eye, that allows for you to be able to kind of figure out and fine tune what grazing patterns you need to have, and even what forage you need to have available for your pigs.
Well, and also another great resource is your county extension agent, because they know the lay of the land, your climate, what type of soil, what grows well there, that's nutritious for your pigs. And if they cannot help you, contact your state college. They have an agricultural department that is totally free, and they would absolutely love to help you. Send in soil samples for what type of plants would grow well, or how do you need to amend your soil to grow great plants for grazing.
Preach it.
Also, in the end, you know if you're successful when you butcher that pig, what it looks like and what it tastes like. So make sure and talk with your butcher as well. Are you getting the type of product that you've worked so hard for, and where do you need to make changes, if any?
Right. And I think the thing about that, Kathy, is, if anyone who's watching is fortunate enough to have a butcher who's willing to go through that process and can get back feedback, all the more better. It's always a good idea to just ask and say, hey, I want to build a relationship with you. I want to learn what are some ways I can improve on, and make sure it's a butcher that, knows a fair bit about, what carcasses should look like for pigs that are not raised in, like a pig pen. People who know like, oh, okay, here's what a hog that was raised on dirt on the ground should look like, roughly speaking. Usually there'll be more of your old timers, or if they're younger and they come from an old timer background, they should also know. Andrea, I think you had a comment that you wanted to mention.
Well, for the homestead type that like to do the multiple species, like the lamb, we were talking about that, pigs are more versatile and they can pretty much eat anything. On that note, lambs and sheep can only eat certain things at certain times. I know they talk about too much clover can cause issues. So you really need to look at, again, this goes back to, I think pigs are easy, but the other animals are not so much easy. So you really have to figure out who you have to really take care of in your fields, and then make sure that when you're doing, you're reseeding your fields, that you're taking care of your sheep, because your pigs are going to come behind your sheep if you're rotating them. It's less of a problem if you don't have the sheep. Then you can look more towards the pigs. But when the gal asked about the sheep, we're more worried about feeding the sheep, because they've got more sensitive stomachs than the pigs do.
And going back to Kathy's previous comment about utilizing your extension agent, a lot of times, and this is just my experience, extension can sometimes or oftentimes be people who come from very commercial backgrounds. So be very mindful with some of the questions that you ask them and some of the answers that you get back from them, because they might be giving you commercial standards that don't meet your farm standards, or even your farm operation availability of land or whatever. If you're thinking about figuring out grasses and stuff like that, I would, instead of talking to like the pig specialists in your state, I'd actually talk to your grazing experts, those who are doing grass-fed, grass-finished, those in extension that work with people like that. They would have a better understanding of forage capability and forage availability within your state or within your region or within your county. even. And so a lot of the pig people they'll give you a lot of commercial information in my experience. So just be very, very mindful of that. You're probably not going to get any good grazing advice from swine specialists in extension. And that's okay, right? That's not what they got paid for, right? It's okay. That's why you talk to your cattle folk, your sheep folk. They have more of an understanding, especially if they're not doing, corn fed, corn finished, and they actually are sticking to just grass-based systems. They have a better understanding on what to do. All right, how many more questions we got? I feel like we just rolling in the deep with questions.
We got a bunch of questions. That was a good question. That was a good discussion. Let's see. Dustin says, when registering red wattle hogs, what traits are most sought after and what traits are most undesirable?
Good question, Dustin. That deserves a gold star right there. That's what I'm talking about. All right,
Kathy.
Go ahead.
Kathy, you got that one?
The breed standards are listed on the Red Wattle Hog Association website, and actually in comparison to a lot of other breeds, they're fairly lax. The color has to be consistent from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, red, but some type of red. It can be almost blonde, reddish, to almost a cherry mahogany, almost black color, but it does have to be consistent. Of course, the wattles, you cannot register a hog that does not have wattles, and they have to be properly placed and a good size. They have to be substantial. And then as far as,
Spots.
Body structure, they're built like red wattles are a large hog when they're an adult, and they grow fairly quickly. They're built like a block. Their legs, you want to make sure that their legs are set on the four corners of that block. They have an arch toward their rear end, a little bit of a rise toward their hip area. You want a broad, flat back. In the description for the ears, and the ears are really hard to do because the description says that they're erect, which that confuses people because they think they should look like a German Shepherd's ears. Erect in this case just means that they're firm, and as adults or when they're entering adulthood, their ears should be out over their eyes, very similar to like a baseball cap visor. Red wattles don't have dish faces. I know that that's very common in some breeds, but they don't have that big swoop that comes down from their forehead and out toward their nose. They have more of a straight or a slight slope with their noses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
did that help some?
Oh, good.
On the association website, that they have grading cards that are very helpful. You can print off and take out when you're looking at your litters and you're going down and notching ears and what we notch. So.
And wrong with that. I was going to say, Kathy, I appreciate you mentioning the curvature in the back. A lot of the show pig people have nothing against show pig people, just FYI, who are raising more your commercial breeds, commercially accepted breeds. They want a shelf you should be able to sit like 12 cans of beer or whatever on the pig and it be evened out, right? And for pigs who have a very short production life, that's fine. But for pigs that you are trying to have longevity with, especially with sows, I've talked with a lot of old time breeders who are raising heritage hogs and just like old variations to commercially accepted hogs, and they look for an arched back. And the reason why is because, especially for sows, as a sow gets older to like 8 years old, that arched back will help with its farrowing capabilities. But if it started out with a shelf as a back, it's only going to dip and cause back problems the more that pig farrows over time, making her not very good for longevity. And so that's one thing that I think a lot of people are, well, I'm looking for a pig that has a flat back. With heritage breeds, you might not find a lot of that. And honestly, especially with the sows, that's a good thing. You don't want them to have a flat back. You know, so just be mindful of that when you're selecting good breeding stock. Again, it's about longevity, and certain structures really help with having longevity for that livestock or that pig.
Well, there's also another reason for that, Ryan. The tail set. The tail set needs to be in the proper place, which is not up on the back like a lot of show pigs are nowadays. The tail set needs to be fallen off of that rump near, you know, right as the rump is ending, that's where your tail needs to be. And it's not there just for looks. Wherever that tail set is, it affects the internal organs, you know, the kidneys, the intestines, and it also affects those breeding organs. We hear an awful lot about these show pigs having conception problems, breeding problems, farrowing problems, having to pull pigs when they farrow. And that's because that tail set is not in the proper place, meaning that their organs are not in the proper place. Also, when that tail set is not in the proper place, it affects their bones because their bones are not aligned naturally the way that the pig was meant to be. It affects the cartilage, it affects the muscles and so forth that could possibly make that hog break down in the rear end much faster than it would have.
Mm-hmm. Good question, Dustin. Good question.
All right, we've got a bunch more questions. Let's see. Whitney, thanks for tuning in today. She wants to know, when farrowing with red wattles that are pastured, do you provide any shelter? And what are some tips for ensuring that the babies and mom are safe when farrowing in pasture and keep all their babies in all types of weather?
We do provide shelter.
Oh, Kathy,
Go ahead, Andrea.
To start this one off. I'm confident about answering this one.
Well, we rotate ours, so we have portable huts that the farmer built, and we just drag them into each new pen every time we move them, about once a week or so, depending on the weather and how they pour up the area. But we give the sows, we give them houses. That doesn't mean they actually, even if it's cold or even if it's wet, we'll use it. We do have a barn down in the holler that we've had the gals have. I mean, we've got two sows that would, like you said, share babies and whatnot, but one had one out in the field and the one had them in the barn, and then they kind of just do their thing. We don't intervene unless they're, you know, it's a weather issue. We did have a brains issue one time and we had to make some adjustments, but we kind of let them just do their thing. They're very good mothers. They know what they're supposed to be doing. So we
Right,
provide.
and we do an awful lot like Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, if you're thinking about farrowing out on pasture, if you have access to barns and shelters and stuff like that, great. If you don't, you can always make something makeshift. And it can just be some dirt cheap and simple, because she's only going to be using it for less than a month. And honestly, she'll probably break it down before the end of that month anyway. You know, I have breeders who are, they don't provide like an overhead shelter, but what they do is they section off a piece of their land, and they'll have mounds, like several different bales of hay and straw, and they'll allow for them to make that bedding from that. That encourages them to stay concentrated in one area when they're farrowing, rather than going out to like 10 acres down the pasture in the woods, and you're like, but you were supposed to be over here. Why did you go all the way over there to give birth? It is literally 15 degrees outside. Why are you doing this? Like, they will literally do stuff like that. And sometimes you have to work with them. Sometimes some sows are really smart. They know when to farrow, whether it be indoors or outdoors. They just are very in tune. Some not as much, and they make stupid decisions. And when they do make stupid decisions, you just got to be ready and say, okay, all right, and we're going to move the piglets and we'll move you too. Yep, come on, let's go over here. I got a heat lamp ready for you. Everything's going to be great. You know, just here's some feed. Come on, come follow me. You just got to work with the stock that you have. Nothing is perfect. Work with what you're able to do. At the least, and this is so important, I've had the farm that I used to work at, after I left, they did another round of farrowing, and they didn't give them any straw or hay. And really, you would want to prefer hay over straw, because hay will actually break down better. And what that does, especially when you have enough, if you have a large enough mass of it, it decomposes, and that decomposition actually creates heat. So that actually allows for a warm bed, especially during the wintertime. But you know, they didn't put down any hay, no straw. I think they put down some wood chips. Do not put down wood chips for farrowing. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that to the pigs. Don't do that to the pigs and the piglets. It's not really a soft structure for newborn babies, essentially. So be very mindful of that. Something soft, something that can provide a lot of warmth and a lot of heat. Do not be cheap about it. If you're going to be cheap about it, don't farrow. That simple, that serious, because you have to look at the end of the day, you're putting a lot of money into this, right? And these aren't Yorkshires. These are not Berkshires. These are not Durocs. These are heritage breeds, and every pig counts, right? And so I highly recommend, if you're not going to put in all the effort required for farrowing properly, don't breed at all. Let someone else have that opportunity and raise them in the appropriate manner, because we need as many numbers as we possibly can for conservation efforts. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Now, Kathy, I think you had something to say.
Well, I was going to say hay and straw, besides confining that heat in when they need it, like in the wintertime, it also wicks away a lot of the moisture. If they've been out in rain, in snow or whatever, it helps dry very much easier. Wood chips will absorb and keep that moisture, and you're creating a perfect area for germs, viruses, bacteria, and so forth, a perfect area for your pigs to get sick.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, wood chips work really well as an add-on to the compost that they create from straw and hay. Wood chips work well as an add-on for composting. Don't try putting wood chips in with the hay and straw. That's not, my personal opinion and in my experience, not the best idea. You know, if you're really into composting, great idea. After you piled up all that pig manure and hay and stuff like that, and you mix it in, you know, that's fine. Perfectly. You can do that. But don't do it for a farrowing operation. Not the best idea, not the best material. All right, Brittany, next question.
All right, good question, good discussion. Next question is from Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Thanks for tuning in today. She wants to know, what are your thoughts on line breeding?
Good question. Kathy.
Oh, there's such a difference. Line breeding and inbreeding. Inbreeding is done recklessly. Somebody that just doesn't care. They're just out there breeding. And it can be brother to sister, father to daughter, mother to son, so forth. Line breeding is done very similar, but it's done with a purpose and with a goal. And the person has to be educated on what they want and how to get there. And they have to be very selective and cull their litters for the next generation that's coming forward. There's nothing, absolutely nothing at all wrong with line breeding. As a matter of fact, I think it's great if you can manage it. but you have to be educated and very selective.
Yeah, and I think that's where your mentor comes in. You know, part of the reason why we have these associations, and why the Livestock Conservancy does our best effort to support these associations, is because we want to make sure that you have resources from breeders who have been doing this for a long time, for some of them for their whole life. So being able to kind of lean on what they're doing allows for you to have more insight onto that particular breed. Don't try to figure this out on your own. Not that you can't, but I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend working with a mentor. Again, mentors are important. You know, it honestly, if you have something against a mentor, this is a personal opinion. There's probably some other areas in your life that you got to work on a little bit, because there's nothing wrong with being able to lead, but then also being able to learn. Even as you're leading, you should still be able to learn a lot. And being able to learn means that you have to sit at the foot of someone who knows more than you. And so that's so important. That not only creates a better human being, but also creates a better farming experience for you. So always keep that in mind if you have any hesitations about a mentor. And if you can't find one in your area, that's totally fine. Breed associations they got members. So it's really important that you can find someone nearby, but also find someone that you're really comfortable with and that can give you proper and good information. Yeah, any more questions? I know we are cutting on that time. But I want to get a couple more questions.
Ryan, can I add to that?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, can I add to that? There's a misconception with people out there in the public as far as line breeding and the Red Wattle Hog Association. The Livestock Conservancy, probably a couple of years ago, somewhere in there, reviewed all of our records. And the Red Wattle Hog Association does not have any specific lines. The only person that ever came close, and he still didn't do it, would be one of our old timers that we dearly love, Clyde Grover. So there seems to be a misunderstanding as far as what a line is, and people need to study up on that a little bit more.
Right, I agree.
To develop a specific line takes a lot of time. It can take several years, and it can also be very expensive. And most people aren't up for that challenge.
Mm-hmm. I know someone, not necessarily specific to pigs, will look at line.
Ryan, I think you cut out.
Oh, okay, I'm back.
Maybe?
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what just happened. Anyways, some people would consider lines not necessarily to what is traditionally defined as a line, but also just like the farm that it originated from, and like very for that farm. And I keep going in and out, so I want to shut up and let Brittany throw another.
I think we've got one more question. We've got a lot of great discussion going on this post. But what I can see is Matthew would like to know, what is the average lifespan along with breeding viability?
We actually have several breeders that have bred 8-year-old sows and done very, very well. Usually after about 8 years, they will retire them, basically for the sow's health. But yeah, they can farrow and do so successfully. up until at least 8 years.
Did you have anything else to add, Andrea?
No, since I've only been doing it for 2 years. Not quite there yet.
You can't reach 8 years yet. Just sitting there. Well, I had one last question or comment, I guess, about Red Wattle Hogs. This is mostly about the association. Currently, while I've been talking with you ladies, Red Wattle Hog Association is creating an initiative to really expand the range of genetics throughout the country rather than having those genetics concentrated. So ladies, kind of talk about this Western bound expansion initiative that you're considering talking about and planning on doing in the future.
Andrea, take over.
Where we're at now is I think everybody was supposed to go ahead and find folks they were interested in working with. And when you're interested in that, you really need to find out, who has what hogs registered and where, and you need to be able to come up with a plan, make your purchase, get your vet checks, knows what it's going to take. So the association, when we can find their transportation and get that lined out so they can make a plan, they need to speak to the board. There's ways to email through the Red Wattle Association. I think, Kathy, do you have that email? If you're speaking to somebody and aren't interested on that trip, you can get with them, and they're trying to line out when they're going to get transport from the East Coast to the West Coast and maybe the West Coast to the East Coast. So that could be as much as we're sending one out to the West and they're sending one back out to the East Coast to somebody else because they've got a different line. It's going to take the board some maneuvering on getting that transportation lined out. So if you can start talking with your people now so we can get those deals done and you're comfortable with what your registered boars and your sows or your babies coming on board. I know a lot of people have litters coming up here in the spring. So finding a time to get everybody in the right time frame is going to be the key. If we can get one off, I think we can perfect that down the road. Kathy, do you have anything on that?
Just that this is our effort to spread those genetics. Currently, most of what is on the western coast, the genetics are very close, and there's not as many breeders. We're trying to get more breeders interested and get more varied genetics out there so that the population can increase safely and healthily. But if anybody is interested, please pull up the Red Wattle Hog Association website. That's redwattleproject.org. And you can look under contacts. The contacts tab is up at the top. You will, when you click on that, you will see every board member's name, email, telephone number, how to get in touch with them. Get in touch with them and let them know that you're interested. We would like as many people involved as possible.
So you heard it. If you are on the West Coast and you want red wattles, sign up today for your piglets. They're going fast like hotcakes. I don't know, maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm just hyping y'all up.
Yes.
Yes,
they are. But if anybody is in the eastern, anywhere from just west of the Mississippi and further east, if you have hogs that you would like to send, please let people know. Let your board know. We can make those connections to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited for y'all. I think this will be really great for the breed. And I can't wait to hear more about it. I call Kathy at least every other week for one reason or another. And one of those reasons might be like, I just want to call Kathy. I just want to hear her voice. I just want to learn something from her. That's all. And she is obliged to just talk to me all day long. It's great. It's great. And so with my experience with the Red Wattle Hog Association, I've had nothing but love and confident breeders. Even someone who is new in beginning, like Andrea, she actually has a lot of confidence. Now, she won't tell you she has a lot of confidence, but trust me, she does. I got to help her out a little bit, but that's on the marketing stuff. She got the pig stuff down. So I'm really excited for the future success of Andrea as a new member of the Red Wattle Hog Association, and for the continued success of Kathy. Brittany, do we have any final questions? Actually, or do you just want to wrap it up? I'll let you decide.
We'll just wrap it up. I don't see any other questions that have come through, but I want to thank y'all for this wonderful discussion. We've had a lot of
having us.
questions.
Thank you.
And a big shout out to all of our members who help make swine chats like this possible. We appreciate you and thank you. And if you're not a member yet and you want to learn how to become one, we'd love to have you be a part of our community. You can email us, you can go to our website. We would be happy to share the information.
Yes. And don't forget, we have Conservation Champion memberships. A lot of y'all might not know what that is. Basically, you donate four. That's three. Four. I know my math. I promise. $4 a month, and that will get you to be a conservation champion. It's a continued. You don't got to worry about paying it every single month. It will just be an automatic draft from your account. So if you're wanting like hands-free, easy, simple, I don't want to think about it ever again, because I know some of y'all become members with the $45 membership, and then your membership ends the following year and you forget about it, and then you're calling us and you're like, I thought I renewed, and we're like, you didn't, but you can now. You don't have to worry about that now. We made this just for you. So if you're interested in the Conservation Champion membership, please check out our website. We have it listed out, and it's a great option and really good on the budget.
Absolutely.
And Ryan, that is great, because I'm one of those, like you mentioned, very forgetful. There's just too many other things going on. And when you clued me in on this new program, I immediately signed up.
That is right.
I don't have to worry about my membership with the Livestock Conservancy ever again. You all got me covered.
See, testimonial right there, folks. Kathy is a busy woman. Last thing she need to worry about is renewing the membership, because she probably would have forgot about it anyway. But with this champion membership, you don't have to worry about it. Once you put your information in, you can just forget about it. We'll just keep taking $4 a month until you don't want us to do that anymore. And I hope that day never comes. So anyways, I'm talking. It's been a long day. I've been up since like 4 a.m. So Brittany, take us away. Close us out.
That's perfect. So thank you, everyone. We hope that you'll tune in again next week. We have a Marketing Monday on Monday. So we will be talking to Tracy from Hillbilly Nutrition, I believe.
And she also raises red wattle hogs. Now, all the red wattle questions were for today. Next Monday, we are going to be talking about marketing heritage pork, primarily red wattle. So have your marketing red wattle questions lined up. It's going to be a great interview, and really looking forward and excited to also hosting that one, as well as the next Swine Chat on Tuesday, which, by the way, guys, in case you didn't know, we have Kathy Payne and the American Guinea Hog Association joining us to talk about American Guinea Hog pigs. Very small, compact, homesteading pig, but really is a good pig to raise, especially if you're not looking for huge, big pigs like red wattles or some of these other breeds. So be excited, stay tuned, write down those questions, and check us out next Tuesday, or actually next Monday and next Tuesday, double header, back to back swine chat. So other than that, bye. Bye.
Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
Well, before you leave, because the recording is, the live stream's done. So we're
Okay.
just talking right now.
Woo.
Thank you. Y'all were really great. I appreciate y'all coming. This was, I mean, I love y'all. I just want to, if y'all didn't already know that, I just want to just state that is a fact that Pork Ryan Jamal Kierton does love y'all, and really grateful for y'all being able to come out today and just share your love and your passion about the pig. So much knowledge, and I'm not just talking about Kathy, talking to you too, Andrea. Yes, you too. So super excited to continue working with y'all
Yes.
in the coming years. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Monday, what time are you
Thank
going to be
you.
on with that marketing?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you need to be in that one.
Yes.
You definitely need to be in that one. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday.
You're killing me. I'm going to have to take another day off work.
Wow. We do have it recorded, so
Yes.
if you want to send me a question or two, I can actually
Okay.
add that
Okay.
into my question. That way you don't miss out. Just only for you.
You're
Only
so
for you.
awesome.
Only for you. So yeah, just text it to me.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I will.
Good. Sorry, Kathy, you about to say something?
I didn't hear you, Ryan.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something. I think I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to say thank you all. It's been great. It's been a great experience.
Good. All right, don't worry. We want to make, again, when I get my red wattle pigs, you the first person I'm going to be knocking on the door. So just remember that.
See, she's the best mentor.
I know. That's why she's the first person we'll knock on the door for. So yeah, thank y'all ladies. I'll let y'all go.
Thank you.
But I love
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh man, I just talk, the more talk, man, was getting crazy. And I was like, oh, it's because I hadn't gotten enough sleep, and now I'm just rambling.
It's all good. It was all good stuff.
You're like, wow, Ryan is just really going at it.
You got all this great knowledge to share. It's perfect.
Good.
How did the butchery thing go?
Oh, it was great.
That's awesome.
I mean, I took photos. I don't know if you can actually see the photos from here, and they're on my phone. Oh wow! Sorry, I have a ring light. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
Meat. So yeah, I actually will, I think, show the pictures during our meeting tomorrow. But yeah, it went really good. They got everything done in 2 hours.
That's amazing.
So they broke down half a pig in 2 hours. Actually, they could have done it a little bit quicker, but questions and stuff like that took longer. So Sarah is really interested in being able to work with us on that, and it won't necessarily need to come out of our pocket to get some of that stuff done. So if we can provide her with people and really the plan for it, we just need to give her the plan for it, and then she can see how she can execute. So really the ball's in our court now to figure out what we want to do and then attack her in on that. She'll basically just front it, most of the money, if not all of it.
Oh, wow.
To be able to
Okay.
have that programming. So
That would be awesome.
yeah.
That's
Yes.
really cool. That's awesome.
Mhm.
People were really excited about that class.
Oh, I saw the comments. I was like,
It was out of
I wish
control.
I could
Like,
help.
I've never had that kind of reaction to a class before. Most of the time people were like, okay, yeah. Like, this one was like, no, this is what we need.
we need this. We need to know all of it. Oh yeah, yeah. So when she posts that link, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, we
should be
updated so we'd share it, and people were like, "Yes, please share it."
all 2 hours of this. Oh yes,
Like,
yes.
no.
It's like, what am I holding right now? But yeah.
Watermelon.
So my sleep, my lack of sleep, that's what I'm holding. So yeah. Other than that, do you want to be a part of that? Like actively, or you just want like just keep me informed, but don't get me super involved.
Happy to help out. I helped do the one with Jeanette and Ariane, which
Okay.
I still need to finish and get up on Teachable.
So they will provide like the camera stuff.
Perfect. The less
So
of that stuff that I have to do, the
yeah,
better.
you ain't gotta worry about any of that unless you want to. I think the thing about it though the content would be probably shared
Oh yeah.
between, and so as long as y'all are okay with that, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Oh, absolutely. As long as we get our logo on there, it don't matter. Like, I'm
Okay.
all about please share, like make this available to everyone, just put our logo on it. Programs might have a little bit of a different opinion.
Yeah, I just hope they're not trying to be controlling about it because at the end of the day, we have a large reach, but we don't necessarily have the facilities to do all of these things. And NC Choices has the networking connections to pull it off in a very reasonable way.
Oh yeah.
We had like technical difficulties in trying to figure out stuff, and we got it figured out in an hour before the right before the live stream started. So like even when there are problems, you're still able to work it out. So yeah. Trying to think what else is there.
Yeah, I think it's an
Yeah,
awesome opportunity because they have so much, like they can make the things happen and we can bring the people.
yeah. Their communication person for SES, her name's Jamie. I know you used to work at NC State. I don't know if you crossed paths with Jamie. She actually used to work on Deborah Neiman's farm, like for 3 weeks at one point.
Maybe
I
she
was
was an
like,
intern or something.
what?
That's weird.
That's a small,
Small world.
like how are we in the same room right now? That's kind of weird. I'm just like, yeah, do you know Deborah Neiman? I was like, yeah. I was like, kind of like, where is this coming from? I was like, your communications. How do you know her name? It's like, yeah, it was on her farm, and I learned about goats for 3 weeks. I was like, oh, milk goats. Yeah, I would never ever do that again. She's like, yeah, I learned that about myself too while on that farm. I'll never ever do that again. I was like, yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, COVID, yeah, so yeah, Deborah's famous, more famous than I thought she
She
was.
does have a pretty well-known blog. She's one of those blogger people
I couldn't do
that makes money off that, so I'm not surprised.
I couldn't blog for a living. I could do videos for a living, but not blog for a living. I can't sit at a computer and write like.
Well, it's all the marketing stuff before, like behind the scenes of like, getting your content up all the time and then just like maintaining questions from people and producing new content. Like she does videos and stuff too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's been a long day.
Yes,
And
go get some sleep. I'll talk to you later.
you're going to be on wow, I can't get my thoughts together. Meeting. When's meeting?
Yes,
10?
I'll be on the meeting tomorrow.
That's at 10, right?
I think so,
Or
as far
11.
as I know.
Okay. Not that it matters. I'll figure it out. Cool. I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.